Hello, all, and welcome back. I hope you all had a good spring break. Although, with the whole social distancing and distance learning stuff, I feel like spring break is just like any other week. But hopefully, you had fun anyway. You were able to do some stuff without going out and, getting infected or what have you. So we get to start up again. We're in the middle of World War One. If you recall, we left off last time with you guys looking at a political cartoon, or not a political cartoon, a primary source account of what we see going on here, which is the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. We had talked about the causes of World War One, which conveniently spell out an acronym: MAIN, militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. And we're going to pick up from there. I do want to really quickly cover some like classroom logistics stuff, because as you are obviously aware, the closure of the schools has been extended out through the rest of the semester, so we are going to be doing this all the way through. As a result, the district has kind of updated some things. For example, the teacher work week is now Monday through Thursday teaching and then Friday grading, which will be nice because in case you haven't noticed, I am a little bit behind on grading. Not massively, but definitely a little bit. They have not, as yet, described whether or not that is going to change how much we're expected to be teaching you guys. I am going to take it as a sign that we should be covering a little bit less, not a huge amount less, but a slightly slower pace, because if Monday through Thursday are our teaching days, that means that we have less teaching time. I'm still going to set our due dates on Friday. That is a thing for you guys. It gives you more time to finish it up. I think that's just better, and I'm fine with the slight offset in my grading time. It's whatever. So I'm still going to make our due dates on Friday. We're still going to have a Wednesday check-in, but I think we're going to have a slightly slower pace in general, especially this week, because we're left with the option of, if we do the weapons and tactics of World War One PowerPoint, that's a really long PowerPoint, and it's going to put us over the amount of time I would like to spend. But if we don't do it, then we're going to be under the amount of time. So this week back is going to be kind of like a slow, ease you back into it transition week, because I'm just going to err on the side of giving you guys a little bit of leniency. So we're going to have just a couple of things to do this week. But that's kind of what we're looking at going forward. The other big thing we need to hear from the district before we proceed is testing and grading. Because obviously we can't do our tests online. I mean, we can do our tests online, but I imagine the scores for a multiple choice test that you do completely at home with access to the internet might not be the best representation of how much you remember. It might be more a representation of how much Google remembers, and that would be a problem. So the district is actually talking at a district level of what they want us to do with grading, and then we'll be able to let you know more about that as we get to it as well. So with that being said, let's hop into World War One starts here. What we are looking at is a really volatile situation in Europe at this point. With that combination of militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism, really it's just a matter of time until some kind of major conflict starts. Because militarism means people are building up their militaries, they've got all kinds of weapons, they're not afraid to use them, in fact they kind of want to use them because they want to show them off. Alliances means that they feel like they know people have their back, and there's secret alliances going on, so you never really know what's going to kick off when you attack somebody. You got imperialism, which means that they're already fighting over territory overseas, so they're already kind of at each other's throats. And then you have nationalism, where everybody thinks they're the best and they want to prove they're the best. So what we're looking at then is a few major players. We want to look at what they want here. So to start out with, we got Germany. Germany wants to create an empire. Germany was not a country for a big chunk of this time period in history. They were actually a bunch of smaller nation states, more or less, and they unified and they became a country, and they're pretty strong in the early 1900s, but they came to the imperialism game late. They've got a couple of countries in Africa, they got a little bit of territory in Asia, but Germany really wants to expand out that empire. France, meanwhile, has a pretty big empire. They got the second biggest empire in the world at this point. What they want is some territory that they lost to Germany in the Franco-Prussian War. Prussia is what Germany used to be. Specifically, they lost this area called the Alsace-Lorraine, or not the Alsace-Lorraine, just Alsace-Lorraine, and they want to get that back. Russia really wants a warm water Mediterranean port. Remember, Russia fought Japan over a warm water port over in Korea. Well, now they're looking, well, not now, they've also been looking in the Mediterranean because that's their other main option for a warm water port. The problem for Russia is their territory does not directly connect to the Mediterranean. So if they want that warm water port, they're going to have to get some territory that, connects to the Mediterranean or ally with somebody who does. Finally, we got Austria-Hungary. They really want to control the Balkan area. The problem with that is the Balkans is kind of like the area, if you're looking at your World War I map that you made, that area kind of like Greece and around there where it's kind of a bunch of smaller countries that are all put together. That's the Balkans. Austria-Hungary wants that because, much like Russia, they want to extend their empire to the sea. This means we basically have two separate fights going on here. They're not direct fights. They're more like underlying tensions. But you got Germany and France who are kind of going to be competing with each other, as well as other countries. And Russia and Austria-Hungary are both looking at the same area, because if Russia wants to extend to the Mediterranean, they're probably going to be doing it through the Balkans. And that's what Austria-Hungary wants as well. So this is the Balkans. Like I said, we got Greece down here, but it's also the area all around that. We're going to, for now, ignore like Turkey, the Ottomans over here. They're going to get involved later, but not right now. What we're really looking at here is going to be Serbia, Bosnia, that kind of general area right here, especially Serbia, because that's where things are going to have issues. By the time we get to 1914, so notice this is about a 36-year gap here, we've got a little bit of a change in what this looks like. Number one, Bosnia is pretty much just part of Austria-Hungary now. Serbia still exists, and actually it's extended out a little bit down this way. So we've got that going on here. We got Serbia going down to here. Notice what we see right here. This goes into nationalism. We've got predominantly Serbians and Croatians. That is not a national border. That's in Serbia. That's in what used to be Bosnia and is now taken over by Austria-Hungary. That's in Montenegro. It's got a whole chunk of people here. Romanians we're not really worried about for right now. That's not an issue with this. It's going to be the Serbians and Croats that are going to be the real ethnic group that is being looked at here. And this is where that nationalism comes in again. Because sometimes nationalism is nation-based, nationalism, but sometimes it's also ethnic-based. And that's going to be a big problem when Austria has come in and taken over Bosnia. Now they have this whole area. This also means that, look, they've got more coastal territory connected to, what's that thing right there? Oh yeah, the Mediterranean. So that's going to be exactly what they're looking at here. This means the Balkans is especially volatile. You've got Russia looking at that same territory. You got the issue with the Serbians. You got Bosnia taken over by Austria-Hungary. That is a whole big, what is referred to at this time period, powder keg. The Balkans are called the powder keg of Europe, and a powder keg is exactly what it sounds like. It's a barrel of black powder, and what does black powder do when a spark hits it? It explodes. So Austria-Hungary annexes Bosnia-Herzegovina. I'm sure I said that wrong. We're just going to call it Bosnia, because that's what everybody else calls it. So Bosnia is now Austrian-Hungarian territory. The Serbs are not happy about this. They wanted Bosnia, and let's just go back for a second. Their claim would be the majority of Bosnia was Serbian or Croatian. So if one of these two countries should get this territory, Serbia is going to argue it should be ours because who lives there? Serbians. So they are very much going to resent this takeover. They are mad about it. They wanted Bosnia, and they didn't get it. That's that nationalism, that's that imperialism, and we know with militarism, how do they deal with their problems? They're going to fight over it, and we know alliances, it's not just going to be Austria-Hungary and Serbia that are involved. So the Serbians want to go to war with Austria, militarism, but they can't do it. Austria-Hungary is way stronger than Serbia. But wait, alliances, Serbia has a friend. It's Russia. Russia is really big. And they might not be the strongest country in Europe, but they're definitely stronger than Austria-Hungary. Problem is, Russia's not quite ready for war at this point. They don't say no, but they do say not yet. So Serbia can't really do anything about it. The sloth over here is Russia. That's the not yet connection. All right, cool. Glad I made that point. So now we have this ticking time bomb, this powder keg, right? Because we know that there's a fight brewing. It's just going to be a matter of time until it all kicks off. And again, that is a direct cause or a direct result of nationalism with those ethnic conflicts. The Serbians saying Bosnia is primarily Serbian, therefore it should be Serbian. It's alliances because Russia is also looking at it and going, hey, if Serbia gets that, that gives us a warm water port through our ally, our buddy Serbia. So there's alliances. That's also imperialism because they're fighting over territory. And it's militarism because they're going to be using their big bad weapons to do it. Enter this man right here, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. I had a surplus of memes and not much information on this slide, so this is a mostly meme slide. So Archduke Franz Ferdinand is not the leader of Austria-Hungary, but he is the heir to the Austrian throne. And he decides to visit Sarajevo in Bosnia. If we go back to the map here really quick, that's right here. Look how close that is to Serbia. So Archduke Franz Ferdinand, good Franzi over here, is going to visit Bosnia as kind of like a show of force, but also like, just making the presence of Austria-Hungary known in the area. There's some people, like, the Serbians, who are not going to like that. There's this group called the Black Hand. The Black Hand is a terrorist group. Now, really early on, I want to make this point very specifically. This is not a government group. A terrorist group is, by definition, not going to be a governmental group. If it was a government group, it would be like, some kind of secret service group or something like that. It wouldn't really be called a terrorist organization. A terrorist organization is not connected specifically to the Serbian government. That's going to be really important later. So the Black Hand, number one, sounds like a really cool like comic book villain group. Number two, they decide they want to kill good old Archduke here. Franzi is not welcome in their eyes, and they decide that they want to take him out. So they try once that morning. Basically what happens is the Archduke is going through, like, he's in his car, and they're doing like a slow parade tour through Sarajevo. And he's going to town hall. He's going to he has a whole big schedule that day. He's going to go visit some hospitals. He's going to go oversee like a military exercise. There we go. So they're not actually fighting or anything, but they're in formation and they're marching. He's going to do all this stuff. But first, he's going to parade through town in the morning, go to town hall, and move on from there. So the Black Hand puts assassins along the route that he's going to take, and they arm them, and they're basically all looking for a chance to get Franz Ferdinand. The first one screws up. He throws a grenade, but it actually doesn't hit the car that Ferdinand is in. It goes under one of the other cars, and then it explodes under the car, and that protects the other cars. So that freaks the Archduke and his procession out, and they floor it. They go straight to town hall. Meanwhile, the poor assassin who tries, just the unluckiest guy ever. So the assassins had cyanide capsules that they were supposed to take because they didn't want to get captured, right? So rather than get captured, they were going to take cyanide and die because cyanide kills you. Did you know that cyanide has an expiration date? Because the guy that took his cyanide capsule found that out. It made him really sick, but it didn't actually kill him. So he's like, that's okay. There's a river going through town. I'll throw myself in the river. It's cold. The river is full of water. I'll drown and I'll die. He jumps in the river. There was only 6 inches of water in there. So he got really sick and hurt himself by jumping in a river. And then he got arrested and thrown in prison, and he died there. Unfortunately, his mother was also arrested, just because, sure, why not? So that sucks for her. She didn't do anything wrong. But yeah, her son failed to kill people 3 times that day. Failed to kill Archduke once, and then himself twice. So At this point, the Black Hand's like, oh man, like we're screwed. We can't get this guy. He just floored it to town hall. Like our whole plan is ruined. The Archduke's advisors basically beg him to leave. They're like, look, you can't be here anymore. They're going to kill you. And the Archduke is like, no. Let's forget it for now. We'll cut some of the stuff off, but I still want to go to the hospitals. I want to oversee some military stuff. Like, let's do that. So he refuses to leave. He gets back into his car. His wife is with him. They're driving through town, and complete dumb luck gets him killed. Gavrilo Princip is one of the Black Hand assassins, and he's just hanging out at a cafe at this point because, again, they're like, well, we can't really kill the Archduke, so, we can't get him. And he's sitting there, and he goes, wait a minute, that's the Archduke's car. And the driver made a wrong turn in a really, narrow part of the street, so the driver had to basically stop the car, do, a 5 million point turn, go all the way back around. So Gavrilo Princip goes, that's the Archduke. He's basically stationary right now. He walks up and shoots the dude. He actually fires several times. He kills the Archduke and his wife, which sucks. It's actually fairly tragic. By multiple accounts, the last words of the Archduke's wife to him, which she didn't know at this point, but he was already dead when she said them, she told him, you have to live for our children, because they had children back home. But again, he was already dead. If I recall correctly, I think she was actually pregnant, so their baby also died. But I might be misremembering that. Either way, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife have both been killed by the Black Hand, which is a Serbian terrorist group not connected to the Serbian government. Who does Austria blame? The Serbian government. And they go, hey, Serbian government, we know you did this. We know that you're sheltering the Black Hand. You need to give them up. And the Serbian government goes, what? It's a terrorist group. It wasn't us. We didn't do it. And Austria goes, I don't care. They're Serbian. It's your fault. You're going to get punished for this. We're not going to watch the crash course review. We did the assassination document analysis. Oh, I guess there's parts of this that I pulled out. So, when we get into the actual start of the war, then I'll just kind of do it this way. Main militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Those are underlying causes. This right here, this is the immediate cause. The immediate cause is the thing that kicks it off. So Maine is that powder keg, right? This is the spark that sets it off. Because what happens now is a pretty straightforward but kind of confusing series of events. Austria-Hungary blames Serbia. Serbia goes, we didn't do it. Austria-Hungary demands that Serbia basically meet a bunch of punishments for doing this, like paying Austria-Hungary, giving up all the Black Hand. Austria-Hungary is demanding things that Serbia can't do. So Serbia at this point goes to Russia, and they're like, look, dude, we need to get this going. Like, they're going to fight us. We can't do anything about it. Help us out. So Russia starts mobilizing. Austria-Hungary's ally, Germany, also knows that stuff is going to go down. So at this point, Austria-Hungary and Serbia are pretty much going to definitely fight. So Germany goes, all right, we got to start mobilizing because Austria-Hungary is going to fight. They also know that Russia is going to help out Serbia. Guess who Russia's other ally is? France. Now, look again at your map of World War I. Germany is in between two countries. What countries are those? I'll give you a second. It's Russia and France. So Germany looks at this and they go, we're screwed. If we don't do something about this, we are going to get tag teamed here. We're going to be stuck in between two big, powerful countries. Our ally, Austria-Hungary, is not that strong. We need to strike the first blow. So they decide they're going to strike the first blow against France. So at this point, Germany has also started to mobilize. And they want to go after France because they want to knock out one of those two countries. And it's going to be easier to knock France out than it is to knock Russia out, because Russia's way bigger. They got way more people. The problem is the border between France and Germany has already been built up because France and Germany knew they might be fighting each other. So Germany wants to attack France through Belgium. So they're going to go basically like north and then attack from like the northeast border of France, because France isn't ready to fight Belgium. They don't have any reason to fight Belgium. But the problem is, to do that, they're going to have to invade Belgium. Guess who Belgium's ally is? Britain. Britain is actually not allied with France or Russia. They've got nothing to do with this. But when Germany attacks through Belgium, that means Germany is attacking Britain's ally, and Britain declares war on France, or not France, on Germany. So now Germany is invading into France, which means that we have France, Britain, and Russia against Germany and Austria-Hungary. And Serbia's in there too, but they have no power. They don't really matter. So basically every major country in Europe goes to war with each other because one dude from Austria-Hungary got killed by a terrorist group. And now we have started World War I. So I'm going to post links for the next thing you guys want to do. When I mention the attack through Belgium, this thing is called the Schlieffen Plan. It's a fun name to say, Schlieffen. So there's going to be a video. I'm going to admit, it's a pretty corny video. It's not the best, but it's also like, it's so bad that it's kind of funny in my opinion, but it also does a pretty good job of showing it. It's a 2-part video. What you're going to do for it, and this will be, on the assignment as well, is you're going to do 3 things you think the plan got right, 3 things that it did wrong, 3 things that you thought were interesting, and you're just going to write those down in a document and submit them that way. So that'll be our first 2 assignments this week, is these notes and that video. So thank you guys for listening. Let me know if you have any questions.